Hi everyone, I'm the Limitless Librarian, and last month I read through the last 3 books of the Trials of Apollo series. But there was one character in the 4th book, The Tyrant's Tomb, that really made me think and reevaluate something that has been throughout the entire Heroes of Olympus and Trials of Apollo series, and that is Camp Jupiter and how it works and the major problems with it. That character is the daughter of Terpsichore, Lavinia Asimov. So, who is Lavinia, and how does she show the problems with Camp Jupiter? We meet Lavinia Asimov right at the start of The Tyrant's Tomb, which is book 4 of the Trials of Apollo series, within the first couple of chapters. She shows up to help get Apollo and friends out of some trouble. We learn that she is the daughter of Terpsichore, the muse of dance, and she attends Camp Jupiter as a probatio. There is one problem, however. She's not actually supposed to be out there. The only reason she is in the area when Apollo and friends need saving is because she basically dodged her guard duty. And this is not the first time she has done that, nor is it the last. We quickly learn that the militaristic, regimented, orderly routines and rituals and duties of Camp Jupiter really do not agree with Lavinia. She is a very free-spirited person. She doesn't really do what she's told, and she doesn't really respect authority. It's not that she's lazy or anything, she just doesn't really enjoy or function well in that sort of environment. In fact, she's not even supposed to be there. Terpsichore is a Greek goddess, not a Roman one. Even if she was a Roman legacy on her father's side, she still has more Greek in her than Roman, because she is half Greek and at most a quarter Roman. So really, she should not have actually ended up at Camp Jupiter to begin with. She should be at Camp Half-Blood, which would be a better environment for her. Yes, Camp Half-Blood has its own schedules and activities and things to do, and they do encourage the campers to train so they can defend themselves against monsters. But they're not an army like Camp Jupiter is. Camp Jupiter is less a summer camp and more an actual military camp. Everyone's organized into ranks with probatio and centurions and praetors, and everyone is expected to be a part of that army, fall in line in the command structure and do all their military duties, and they get punished if they don't. If you're a Roman demigod legacy and Camp Jupiter knows you exist, or, well, Lupa, the wolf goddess who is responsible for preparing people for Camp Jupiter, finds out you exist, you're basically mandatorily drafted into the army, whether you like it or not. And not everyone wants to join the army, and the army doesn't necessarily agree with everyone. In fact, I bet a lot of the people at Camp Half-Blood would not really respond well to the environment of Camp Jupiter. Don't forget, these are demigods, and most of whom have ADHD. And a lot of them have a history of getting into trouble, even if not by their own design, or just not being able to sit still. Now granted, sometimes this kind of environment can be good for a kid like that. If you've seen the TV show Bluey, you might have seen the episode titled Army, in which a character named Jack, who is generally considered to have ADHD, actually does really well pretending to be in the army with his friend Rusty. But ADHD is not a one-size-fits-all thing. It can take different forms for different people. So I can understand why some demigods, like Lavinia, may not have it in the same way that Jack from Bluey does. Also, as I said, it's not that Lavinia is lazy or that she's not good at being a demigod. She got selected by Looper and had to go through the trials of the Wolf House just to be able to get into Camp Jupiter, and not everyone survives those. And yet, here she is, proving that she must have made it. So it's not like she's weak or lazy or unmotivated. Camp Jupiter just isn't the right environment for her. But unfortunately, the way that the camp is run doesn't really give her a choice but to participate. Deserters are punished, just like they are in the real world's army. Also, don't forget, these are kids, teenagers who are not even old enough to be able to legally join the real mortal army. And these are also teenagers probably still discovering who they want to be and what kind of things they want to do when they grow up. Some people do know that they want to join the army when they're that old, but not everyone does. And even at Camp Half-Blood, not every demigod likes fighting or competing in activities or wants to really be a hero. Additionally, I can understand why Lavinia kind of resents authority and especially parental figures, because her dad is a classical or ballet ballroom sort of dancer, and she wants to do a different type of dance, and he does not approve of that. So even in her mortal sort of endeavours, she is not supported on that side. So right from the get-go, Lavinia was put into conflict with the authority figures in her life. So it's really no surprise that she does not respond well to the authorities at Camp Jupiter and the further restrictions that they place on her and her schedule and her activities. She just can't seem to escape that. Additionally, at the end of the Tyrant's Tomb, she is elevated to the rank of Centurion, which is only going to come with more responsibilities. The only reason she got picked was essentially plot armor, because she was the only major character there available that anybody cared about that could have filled the spot that needed to be filled. But it doesn't really make much sense. She essentially just won a popularity contest. She is 100% not the most qualified person for that position, and I don't think she would really enjoy it, because more responsibilities and higher expectations are going to be placed upon her. And again, she didn't want to be a soldier in the Roman army in the first place. On the one hand, she's not subject to a centurion's instructions about her schedule, but she is still subject to the authority of the praetors, and they're probably going to take issue if she decides to use her new position to shirk her duties, delegate them all to the probatio under her, and not do anything herself. The legionnaires that she's commanding are going to be looking to her for leadership and instructions and just being a pillar of authority and stability to look to know what to do, and Lavinia is just not made for that, not interested in that. Near the grounds of Camp Jupiter is New Rome, a city that is essentially built for Roman demigods and legacies to live in once they retire from the Legion. So I don't know why she couldn't have just done some kind of job there. She certainly would have appreciated probably just about anything else other than being a legionnaire. But now that she's been elevated to Centurion, she can't really run away from that and go and find something else to do in New Rome. So yeah, I really feel for Lavinia. Also, she's a character that's not widely talked about, probably because people have to get through the first two series plus the first three Trials for Apollo books in order to get to the book where she first shows up. And even then, she is only really there in this one book. So I can see why people don't really talk about her. But I think she is worth discussing because, as I said, she highlights the issues of Camp Jupiter. Namely that even though everyone there has earned their place because they've survived the wolf trials, it's not going to be a great environment for everyone, and it could even prove to be more damaging than helpful. And to add insult to injury, as I stated, Lavinia isn't even supposed to be there. She should be at Camp Half-Blood because her mother is a Greek deity. So she should be at Camp Half-Blood, which would be a way better environment for her because it's way more relaxed. It's not as rigid in its schedules. There's no command structure, even though you have a cabin counselor. They're not like ordering you to do stuff. You can generally choose a lot of what you do, and also you don't have to spend the whole year there if you don't want to. Although given that her dad is often performing in Russia, I can see why she would have to stay at camp year round. But even then, that would still be better for her than Camp Jupiter year round. Plus, Camp Half-Blood campers are encouraged to pursue their own interests, especially those that stem from their godly parent, even if they're not related to fighting or defense or strategizing or anything related to being a hero or protecting themselves from monsters. So yeah, I feel bad for her. She ended up at the wrong camp to her detriment and has now had all these other responsibilities thrust upon her that she's really not qualified to do and has no way of getting out of. So let me know in the comments below how comfortable you would be at Camp Jupiter given these issues, and if you agree with me that Lavinia Asimov got the short end of the stick in getting placed in the wrong camp. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. I've also done a video discussing the Camp Half-Blood shirts and also a review of the Trials of Apollo series, so please check those out if you're interested. As always, thank you for watching, do lots of maths, read lots of books, and I'm sure you'll have an epic day.